Stradivarius violins are among the most sought-after musical instruments in the world. Some cost millions. But one of the most highly regarded violinists of this generation says many of them aren't worth the money. He's Christian Tetzlaff, a German concert violinist, and he switched from a Strad to a modern instrument which cost him little more than £10,000. Our arts correspondent Rebecca Jones has been to meet him and hear him play.
You join me here at Henry Wood Hall in southeast London while Christian Tetzlaff is rehearsing Bartók's Violin Concerto No. 2. But the wonderful sound you're hearing isn't coming from a great 17th or 18th century Italian violin, but one made 3 years ago in Germany. Christian Tetzlaff, if I might interrupt you just for a moment, you used to play a Stradivarius violin. Why did you abandon it?
Because this violin I'm playing now at the moment is better in sound, a bit stronger, and more versatile than the one I had.
So what you're saying is you prefer technical expertise, German technical expertise, over hundreds of years of Italian craftsmanship?
No, the opposite. I need the instrument that can sound sweet and strong and wild, and there are many Stradivarius that have all those qualities. There are some modern instruments that have these qualities, and this is especially a good one, but there is no generalization behind it. I don't care whether a fiddle is 200 years old or just made. But
the common perception, I suppose, is that the older instruments have a soul, a history, if you like, which contributes to their greatness.
Certainly they have a history. About the soul, there are many dead old instruments and many fantastic alive old instruments. There is no difference you or any of us would be able to detect. There is either a good fiddle or a not so good one.
So you're saying there's no difference in the sound or the texture?
There is difference between two different Stradivarius. They sound like day and night. Between two Guarneri and between even two of my maker, none of them sound the same because it's made of wood, and that's something that grows in nature, so there is no sameness in there.
If that's the case, why do so many of your contemporaries play only violins by Stradivarius or Guarneri?
Well, if they found a very good one, that is very natural, the choice. And the violin making trade has only in the last 10 years picked up because of a growing demand to really produce fantastic instruments. That's a very new thing. For 200 years they have been only repairmen, and that's why no really fantastic instruments came out.
Is it your sense, is it your feeling, talking to other people who play the violin, that where you lead, others might follow?
It's happening. I mean, my violin maker, he's booked for the next 7 years. He has more than 100 instruments in the books. Musicians want him to build for him. And I think that will also encourage players to see whether there are other people building as well.
Okay, Christian Tetzlaff, thank you very much indeed, and we'll let you get back to rehearsals for your concert tonight at the Festival Hall with the London Philharmonic Orchestra.
Rebecca Jones speaking to Christian Tetzlaff. Well, here in the studio is another concert violinist, Thomas Bowes. Now, what do you make of that argument?
Well, it's something of a reworking of something we've been hearing sort of for many years. Every so often, you know, this happens. And I don't know whether Christian will forgive me for saying so, but I suspect there's an element of frustration, which is natural enough. These wretched instruments cost so much money, the Stradivarius, the Guarneri, Del Jesús, and so on, for a performer to actually own. It's immensely frustrating to try and get one, and even if you can get close to one, it may not be the one for you.
But he used to use a Stradivarius, and he changed because his argument is, look, it might be appropriate for 18th century music, it's not appropriate for 20th century music.
Well, I don't really take that on board. I think that you will find that if you ask almost any player who's playing, you know, big concertos or whatever, string quartets or anything that needs this kind of infinite refinement, infinite colouring of the sound, that they will say they can only really get that from these ancient Cremonese instruments. And it's a matter of total mystery why that is so, but it's a kind of sensual thing, you know, it's something that the player senses. It may not manifest very clearly to someone who's sitting, you know, at the back of a hall somewhere, but I think it releases so much more of the sort of creative juices of someone who's playing.
Now, you have in front of you the instrument you choose,
yeah,
your own, which is
Well, it's made by Niccolo Amati, who, in a way, is a generation before Strad. And by some sources, he had some. I won't say of Strad. Whether or not he was actually a teacher of Strad is slightly unclear. There's not too much clear evidence.
And now this was made 1659, I understand.
That's right. Yeah.
You could quite happily play a very modern piece on that and get the volume and the sound.
Absolutely. I'm not quite sure what Christian means by that, because there is an element about the Strads against the Guarneri del Gesù, where the del Gesù violins are much more robust, much earthier, and you can kind of tear into them, hurl them around corners if you like. Whereas the Strads tend to be like perfect, they're all made up, and they're a bit like entering a room in too much light.
Could you give us a little?
Yeah, sure.
An example of prove the point.
Well, let's play what should I do? A tiny bit of Elgar.
I think that has to be the most beautiful way I've ever heard an argument put forward. Thomas Bowes, we must leave it there.
No, thanks.
Thank you very much.